Hi, how's it going? It's another month, or at least for me, it's been 10 days, because I figured I'd film the first part of this as quickly as possible. Just a heads up, I'm filming now in 4K, so let me know if the footage doesn't look good, if there's issues with YouTube and whatnot. I'm still doing some testing with it. I mentioned it in my most recent mail video where I get the new camera and some other Blu-rays and whatnot. So, yeah, just, give me a shout if it looks good, if it looks bad, if the color from the light should be warmer or colder, or I don't know. Constructive criticism would help. But outside of that, let's jump into what we watched this month. So I'm still continuing the Hooptober, so most of this will be Hooptober stuff, so I'm going to try to barrel through that because I imagine I'll have filmed a video talking about Hooptober. We start with When Worlds Collide, which I watched from the imprint Blu-ray. It was fine. It's a 4K scan actually, but it still looks pretty rough as a print. I gave it 3 stars. It was enjoyable. Your standard kind of apocalyptic feature, which was part of the Hooptober post-apocalyptic thing, even though it's set pre, during, and post the apocalypse. So it gives you some great miniature stuff, some great effect shots, a lot of things, and people dying. It's pretty nuts. But it's enjoyable, and it's pretty quick. It's like 80 minutes, 83 minutes. That's pretty good. On the same day, I watched The Haunted Castle from 1921. This is part of the Kino Classics. It's Kino Lorber brand. Another silent film I had to watch for Hooptober. I gave it 2.5 stars. This one is not a horror film. I'm not going to disqualify it from the list because it's considered a horror film by a lot of people because it has one scary scene and it's a dream sequence for the anxious character. And that's it. Like, the guy's known as the anxious guy, and he has a dream about a big hand coming in to grab him, and then the next morning it's like, I'm leaving this place. It's haunted. And then absolutely no one else says that the place is haunted. The title is technically twofold. It actually, the opening subtitle says The Haunted Castle, A Room of Secrets, or something like that. Because it's actually just a guy blackmailing a person regarding who killed the brother of whatever. So like a woman's husband and someone's brother, and it's just a mystery. It's a murder mystery, but the murder happened like a couple years ago, and they don't show it. And that's about it. It's a silent film too, so it's pretty quick. So I give it 2.5. I wouldn't say it's great. It's fine. It does come as a 2-pack with like the Grand Duke Francis, I think. So I've heard that one's a bit better. So I plan to watch that eventually. I've had those since the Minotaur days from like a couple years ago. So it's good to just finally get around to watching them. On the second, I double featured The Addams Family and Addams Family Values. I gave them both 5 stars this time. I was really in the mood when watching Addams Family that I absolutely fucking loved it. I'm like, last time I watched it, I gave it maybe 3.5 stars. I'm like, this is just tremendous this time. I was just completely in awe of it, completely on the wavelength I needed to be to appreciate its comedy, its dark humor, its raunchiness, everything. It looks great on 4K. The 4K disc is amazing. It was wonderful. I really credit Rob for kind of making me watch it again because he recently watched it and I was just like, I feel like watching The Addams Family. Let's do that for Hooptober. So it's great. And Family Values, of course, the better film because narratively it's much better. It's not as horny, but it's still great. It's just so much fun. I still really, I have different tinkerings to them. This time around, I realized that Carol Kane plays the grandmother. In the first one, it was a different actress. I believe I credited her name Judith Malina. And Judith Malina, I think, is kind of better. She had a better approach in the first one because she didn't seem like she was trying to be a kooky character. She just was. Whereas this time it's Carol Kane, so it's just a lot more obvious that it's someone trying to play a kooky character. And it just feels a bit weird to me. She's still great, but yeah, great films, great on 4K. Obviously, the second one's a lot darker and a lot funnier as well, and just a lot more happens because just so many great actors are in it. And of course, Angelica Houston, they put the light on her eyes in the second one, and she looks so fucking good. It's a great trick of the light anyway to have just a light always be on her eyes, like from the minute she gives birth onwards. Terrific stuff. And Pubert is hilarious, so, why not? On the third, I double featured The Dark Heart from 1993. This was from the Eureka Masters of Cinema line, or just Eureka. It is a George Romero film, and because the next night I was watching a George Romero film at the cinema, I figured, look, I'll watch this one because I don't have many more left to watch. And the guy who was doing the presentation, Paul Anthony Nelson, had recently logged this one and Bruiser. And I haven't seen Bruiser either, but I have the indicator 4K, so I'm like, shit, I should have watched Bruiser as well, but I didn't have the time for it. But I really enjoyed it. It's got a great first and second half. The first half is great. It's got a great it's got an almost giallo style to it with its murder mystery. There's a duplicate of the main character. It's very much a stand-in because it's a Stephen King adaptation. It's the writer and his alter ego self fighting it out, basically. But one of them the alter ego starts off as a serial killer, killing all the people that the main character was, friends with or worked with, whatever, his publisher and all kinds of stuff. There are some great death scenes. Britannia Alva has a fantastic death scene in it. There's one in the hallway as well. Wonderful. By the last half an hour, it kind of drags out a bit and then has some weird special effects of all the CGI birds. It's strange, but it has some good practical effects in there too, so I was still appreciative of it. So I gave it 3.5. Definitely one I'd watch again. It's entertaining enough. It's got some scare factor to it as well. I haven't been scared by a Romero film probably ever, and this one has some really great scares to it. I also watched The Wizard of Oz because it was part of the Hooptober list. They literally said you have to watch Wizard of Oz. So in this case, I watched it more as a horror film. What can I take from it as a horror film? And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, because, the asbestos and the woman got burnt and this, the Tin Man had an allergic reaction to the silver pan. I'm like, yeah, I know all that stuff, but I'm not really looking at the actual consequences of the film and how it basically almost killed everyone that was in it, if it didn't already. Rather, what horror themes are in it, and the factor of that Dorothy is a murderer, and that there's a whole haunted forest that actually has ghosts that you just don't see, and that they just throw the Tin Man at one stage. The monkeys are just deranged-looking creatures. There's a lot of great horror stuff to it. There's a good 20 minutes of it that's pure horror stuff, and I'm like, this is like that scene in Snow White where she goes through the scary forest, but longer and practical. It's wonderful. So, obviously 5 stars because it's a terrific film. On the Saturday, the 4th, I watched One Battle After Another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson film. I gave it 4.5 stars, watched it in 70mm at the Astor, which was really annoying because I actually watched it with my partner Helene, who has only seen maybe one Paul Thomas Anderson film, and I think she might have fallen asleep during it. It was Phantom Thread that I showed her for New Year's last year because I'm like, it's a New Year's movie, we gotta watch it for New Year's. And she fell asleep because she'd been at work all day. She was fucking drained. And I'm like, yeah, alright. But still, she enjoyed it. It's not her type of film, but she still, appreciates it because it is also a 3-hour-long film. In 70mm, in Australia, we don't get VistaVision. As much as the Astor was advertising, showing clips beforehand of, they showed a Genesis clip, the music video, the one where they're on stop motion. God damn it, I can't remember what the clip is called. Land of Confusion. I just remembered that without even having to look it up. God damn it. Land of Confusion they showed, which was great. They showed a couple other things which contextualized certain historical events within the film, which is just because the curators at the Astor are fantastic. Shout out to Zach and all the others who work there. They don't watch my videos, so it doesn't matter, but still. Yeah, so they were advertising and showing what VistaVision is, and oh, this is the aspect ratio. I'm thinking, yeah, but we're not getting that in Australia. We don't get VistaVision in Australia. It doesn't exist here. The best you can get the closest you can get is IMAX, and it's like a bee's dick off the frame in terms of contrast to VistaVision. And my mate did see it in IMAX. I think in the end he fucking loved it in IMAX. I would like to see it in IMAX, but I'm just too busy currently. Why would they do a Paul Thomas Anderson film in October? I don't know. If they had it done in September, I could have watched it twice. But it's not going to happen. But I still really liked it. Still gave it 4 stars. It still looked great in 70mm. Beautifully tense, wonderfully acted, terrific film overall. Can't go wrong with PTA. I might give it 5 stars next time I watch it. I don't know. I was happy with it. I wasn't loving it at first. I'm thinking, so what's the big deal? But as it grew along, I'm like, this is amazing. Sean Penn, terrific in this film. Then we watched Martin for the Cinemaniacs. It was, again, Paul Anthony Nelson introduced it, which was great. He mostly just covered Romero's career, which for me was interesting enough because I didn't know every other film, but I've watched almost all of his films I own. I realized in this presentation, I'm like, I own that one, I own that one, I own all of his films. The Dark Half was the last film, and I only got that like a week and a half ago. And this whole time I had no idea that I didn't have it, nor that it existed. And now I have it. So I don't have any more Romero films to buy, but I still have a couple to watch. I still have to watch Bruiser, and I still need to watch There's Always Vanilla, and which is also called like Season of the Witch. And there was another one which I think was earlier, which even Paul said that it's not worth watching, and I'm like, yeah, well, I have it on physical, so I'm going to watch it anyway. But even Romero himself said that he didn't really even direct it, he just edited it. Let me check which one that is. There's Always Vanilla, Season of the Witch, and The Crazies. Those are the three, plus Bruiser, that I'm yet to watch. So I've still got 4 more Romeros to go, so that's good. Whew. But Martin was great, gave it 4 stars. I was tired as shit watching it. It's great to watch it. It was definitely the 4K scan from Second Sight, and it looks fantastic, but it was just really slow. I was going to drop it down in school, but I'm like, I think I'm just tired. And it was still great. I didn't get home till like 2 o'clock in the morning. Big woof on my part, but it was great. I enjoyed it. Got to hang out with a lot of friends, so that was great. Yeah, keen for the next Cinemaniacs. Obviously, that's in November with a double feature of Massacre at Central High and the House on Sorority Row. I only have the House on Sorority Row, and I haven't seen it yet, so yeah, I might watch it beforehand. I don't usually do that where I watch a Cinemaniacs film and then I'm like, that's alright, I don't need to watch it again in the cinema, I can hang out with friends, but usually most people either just leave or watch the film. So anyway. Then I watched on the 5th Vampire from 1932, part of Hooptober, gave it 4 stars. Really interesting. It's an interesting, almost very original take on the vampire because it was basically released the year after the Bela Lugosi vampire film, Dracula film, of course, but I'm pretty sure Kim Newman was saying there's a video essay with him, and he was saying how, like, the guy who made the film didn't even get to see, like, Dracula, so most of the shit he just did on his own. So yeah, but it has some great visuals to it. It's not the most captivating narrative. The first 30 odd minutes isn't great, but the rest of it onwards, when things start happening, a lot better. Again, it's a silent film, but there is still talking in it, so it's kind of weird. There's a lot of on-screen text, but then there'll still be people saying a couple things to each other. On the 6th, I watched Razorback, part of the Umbrella Entertainment line, the Beyond Genres. I don't have their UHD disc, I only have the 4K restoration on Blu-ray, which still looks fucking amazing. I've had it for a couple of years. I'm annoyed that I had never watched it until now, because I'm like, it's right up my alley. Australian, eco-horror, beautifully shot. It looks so fucking good. It's so good. So many surreal sequences to it as well, that I'm like, most international audiences will probably think that this is what Australia looks like. That's great. Part of it, yes, but part of it, no. But it's still wonderful. Really, really good film. And I watched right after, because on the special features they had the panel with the Cinemaniacs. They had Lee and Sally and Alexandra Helen Nicholas and Emma Westwood all talking, and that was just great. It was just great to see them all there, especially because I'm looking at it thinking, I've been in that room. That's where Emma and I did our interview, because she even mentioned in the interview that that's where they had filmed a bunch of Cinemaniacs panels that went on to Umbrella Blu-ray releases. So, yeah, I just have that, so great. That was unintentional. I bought it years ago before I did know the Cinemaniacs, but I didn't really read the back of the cover. I should have. I definitely should have. But yes, that was good. On the 7th, I watched Bug from 1975 from Scream Factory. Really fun. This is another eco-horror that I've been wanting to watch for a while because Lee really liked it. And it was just a lot of fun. Turns out, I was expecting several different types of bugs attacking people, but it's really just an earthquake unleashes a bunch of one specific type of bug that's never been discovered before, like very hard shell, and can electrocute things to the point that it can blow up cars and electrocute people to death. Wonderful start to the film, but by the end of the first half, most of the actions happened, and then it just becomes one guy who's a scientist who's like, oh, this bug killed my wife, I want revenge, it's the last of its species, I'm going to keep it alive and basically torture it, and then I'm going to crossbreed it with a cockroach, and then I'm going to feed it to its offspring, and then the offspring start communicating with him, and it goes into a whole different territory. It goes fucking nuts. And it's great, really fun movie. I highly recommend it. It is not well regarded by most people, but I think it's really fun, especially if you've seen a lot of ego horror. It's like, man, I love when I get to see something that's so fresh and different. But then I watched Coma, which is from 1978, also part of the Shout Factory line. This is the cult conspiracy film for my Hooptober watch list. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's written and directed by Michael Crichton, the guy who did Jurassic Park and ER. It was like, yeah, this guy definitely did ER. Really great, tense thriller, wonderfully acted, the lead actress in particular, because it does emphasize it's a Michael Douglas film, and I'm like, it really isn't. It's Genevieve, I guess that's how you pronounce her name, Bujold? She's Canadian, so it's a French-looking name. I've seen her in a couple of films. I've seen her in Obsession, which I think is a Brian De Palma. It is. And in Dead Ringers, the Cronenberg film. She's good in all of them, and she's great in this. And it was a really tense film, really well shot. Just had a great story and momentum to it. It's great. I'm like, yeah, I would hate to be a surgeon. That would be awful. I'd hate to be operated on too. That would also be awful. Haha, wonderful. On the 8th, I watched The Strange Vice of Miss Ward from 1971. This is the Severin, apparently it's a 4K release, Blu-ray disc. It doesn't actually say it's a 4K on the back, but I'm like, I know it was advertised as a 4K scan, or a 4K restoration, because I'm like, this is not a great restoration. It looks great in some scenes, but a lot of scenes don't. There's a lot of still dirt and debris and shit. It's like, what the fuck is this? But the film makes up for it by being a fucking banger. I gave it 4.5 stars. It is insanely fun. It's one of those giallos, and I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted to watch when I watched All the Colors of the Dark at like the start of the year, because that was another Martino film that came out in 1972, and he's done a lot of fucking good ones. Like Your Vice is a room and only I have the key. I don't know, a lot of crazy. That line is actually in this film. Like, that's written on a piece of paper. And I'm like, oh, he's referencing his older film. And then I looked into it, I'm like, this was his first one. Like, in terms of giallos. It was his first film with Edwidge Fenech. It was, the reason I watched it was because it was a Ernesto Gastaldi film. He's written a fuck ton of giallos. And this was one of the few that I hadn't seen yet. So I'm like, I'll watch this one. Because I only got it like 2 months ago. It's terrific. It does one of the... I've never seen it done before in a giallo where they actually show you who the killer is and then kill him in the same scene, and there's still 40 minutes left of the movie. Because there's a lot of twists in this, and it's great. And Edwidge Fenech, she's gorgeous. You see her tits a lot, so if you really want that, you want blood and gore that looks nice and convincing enough. A great murder mystery that goes so overboard, it's just fucking amazing. Great soundtrack as well. The Italian dub was just a bit better. I had it in English at first and just wasn't convinced. Put on the Italian one. I'm like, man, this is a good dub and a good soundtrack. And I've got the soundtrack. It came with it in the release from Severin, which is crazy. I also watched Kronos on the same night. This is the Criterion release, the 1992 directorial debut of Guillermo del Toro. Because I need to watch a film by a Mexican or Central American, was it? Central American director. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's really interesting. It's kind of a vampire film of its own. It did not go in the direction I expected it to, which was good. So it was something fresh, it was something interesting, had a great creature design, had a great, not the greatest villain, but Ron Perlman's there, and that's always good. So it has a good enough cast. It mixes between Spanish and English, which is really fun, really distinct. On the 9th, I double featured Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, which I gave 2.5 stars. I watched the 4K UHD from Scream Factory, which I actually watched the producer's cut. I had never seen the producer's cut. The plan was, if I hadn't already, or if I didn't do it in the end, I planned to do a video talking about this, the next film, and Halloween Kills, the next film being Halloween 2, the unbraided director's cut, the Rob Zombie version. Because all of them are like Halloween films that are not regarded well, that have an alternate version, and I wanted to watch all three, and I didn't get around to watching Halloween Kills, and hopefully I still will, and I'll be able to do a video on it before Halloween. So if that video's out, you'll know about it, because it would have come out before this video, of course. But Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, it's not great, but at least the producer's cut is a bit better. Kind of knowing that it's not really going to end makes it less compelling to watch. The first 20 minutes is like, oh my god, so much is happening, and then nothing happens for half an hour, and then everything happens at once, straight until the end, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Definitely better than the theatrical cut. The theatrical cut was a mess, but I still gave it 2.5 stars. I'm like, I probably would give the theatrical cut 2 stars because I gave that 2.5 last time, but I'm like, I'm not giving this 3. I'm not going that far. But yeah, it's alright. I don't plan to really watch it again. It's not a great film, and I don't really care much for the Halloween films a lot of the time, so yeah. That being said, of course, I still watched Halloween 2, the unrated director's cut. I gave it 3.5 stars. Each time I watch it, I like it a lot more. I think the first time I saw it was the theatrical cut, and I hated it. I gave it like a star. Just the 1 star. But then the second time I watched it, I gave it 3 stars, and that was the director's cut. And this is the second time I've watched that. And I'm not really getting much of a new experience out of it. It still has a great like visual aesthetic. It's grungy, it's gory, it's really fucked up, but it's also like really just nicely conveyed in its traumatic embrace. Yeah, I don't know, I enjoy it. I think it's fun. It's not a fun movie, like it's really depressing and really fucked up, and it has one of the most grisly scenes I've seen of someone getting killed in a slasher film because someone reacted to it, and it's like a girl gets killed and her father reacts to the dead body, and it's just such a harrowing scene because it turns out Brad Dourif, turns out he's an excellent actor. Don't know if you knew this. Highly recommend watching Brad Dourif films. He's fantastic. On the 10th, I watched Halloween Kills. I watched the 4K UHD, the extended cut. I did a whole video talking about these 3. I did actually film it. Who'd have thought it? I enjoyed it a bit more than I did the first time I watched it, maybe because the extended cut has more gore to it, but just in terms of like narrative and character, it's very lackluster. And because it's the middle of a trilogy as well, it just feels like it's the middle of a trilogy film. All we can have is Michael Myers walking around stabbing people while Jamie's in the hospital lamenting on the fact that, hey, isn't Michael just a personification of evil, and now he's making everyone else evil because they want to kill innocent people because they think that they're Michael Myers? Man, this movie's stupid. Anyway, it's okay. It's not great. On the 11th, I watched The First Purge. I actually got a double shot of flu and COVID jabs before my trip because there's a flu thing going on in Japan right now. So I was knocked out for most of the day. So by the time I got around to watching The First Purge, it was pretty late at night. But this was another for Hooptober, which I gave 3 stars. I enjoyed it. It's doesn't have a lot of strong suits, but it's very obvious in its political commentary. It's not trying not to be. It's even the poster I used on Letterboxd is the MAGA hat, the red hat that says The First Purge on it. It's very on the nose of its political themes. I think it's one of the strongest of the series so far. I've only seen the first 2. I know I'm jumping to the 4th one, but the 4th one is a prequel. But I enjoyed it. It's definitely better than the first one. It has better characters, better fight scenes, better action. They're not really great in terms of horror, but if you're looking at like domestic horror, political horror, it's all there. It's interesting. It's got some good world building as well, because again, it's the Purge film. It's the kind of thing of like, well, how the did the Purge happen to begin with? And this is showing you how it happened. It's written by the guy who wrote and directed the first 3, but this is directed by someone else, which is interesting to me. So it's like, okay, so it's written by a guy, but it's because this is part of the Hooptober. I had to find a film that was directed and starring a black actor. So directed by a black person and starring a black person. And because that's such American language to call them black person, it's weird. For me, it's like, they're African American? Isn't that a more, I don't know, it just feels weird to call someone a black person. I don't know. I know Australia is racist, but I don't call black people here black people. I would call them, I don't know, are they Sudanese? Are they Indian? Are they Middle Eastern? Fucked if I know. Like, you know, are they African? We don't have, like, African Australian here. Like, if they're born in Australia, they're Australian. That's my perspective on it. If they're of African descent or whatever, then that's the descent they're of. It's fine. I'm European descent, fucking obviously. I'm white as shit. Dadoy. Anyway, on the 12th I watched Beyond the Black Rainbow. This one I actually watched 4 films. Beyond the Black Rainbow, again, part of Hooptober. I needed that sci-fi cult film, like cult or conspiracy. I gave it 3 stars. I would thought people like this a lot more because people love Mandy, and Mandy's really good. Again, because it's Panos Cosmatos, I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's, again, visually, audio-wise, exceptionally distinct. It's a beautiful looking film. It sounds great, great score, great sound design, great production design. It's just that the plot and the characters are so paper thin. I kept fucking losing focus. I felt like someone who might have ADHD, where they just can't keep focus, because that's what this movie is kind of making you do. You just can't focus on what's happening because nothing's fucking happening. Again, I will give it the props because of its visual nature and the look of it. It looks like a film made in the 70s, even though it was made in the late 2000s. In this case, it's a 2010 release. And the production design, everything, it all looks like a 70s film until they go outside and suddenly it looks like an 80s slasher film, which still works really well. It's such a strange film, so I would recommend it, because if you like the kind of weird visual experimentations and stuff like that, if you liked Mandy, you'll like this, but again, it doesn't have the narrative to keep it, attached. The whole point being because the main character is basically lucid for most of it, because she's been drugged almost the whole entire runtime. She's trying to escape a facility, but she's drugged, so she can't fucking focus, and neither can the film. It's kind of messy, but it gets its point across, so I'm like, that's fine, I guess. I then watched Toolbox Murders, not The Toolbox Murders, from 2004. This is a Tobe Hooper film. I gave it 3.5 stars. This is the Tobe Hooper film I wanted to watch for my Hooptober. I actually didn't have any particular film in mind. My friends were suggesting I go on Tubi, but then I looked on the Criterion channel, and it was there. And I'm like, I'm going to watch this. And it was pretty good. I haven't seen the original yet, which kind of sucks on my part. I've had the Blu-ray for maybe a year now, but I enjoyed it. From what I know, it's a decent enough adaptation remake, because it's a serial killer using tools from a toolbox to kill people in a apartment building. But in the original, it's like sorority girls, and it's like their boyfriends who are like, hey, someone's killing our girlfriends, the cops don't believe us, we got to find out who's doing it. But then in this one, it's like, it's a girl who sees all these murders happen, or who figures out that there's a bunch of murders happening, but she doesn't know if they're murders or not, because the bodies are disappearing. And then she finds out that there's all these runes and shit around this building, and that there's a whole secret part of the building, and maybe there might be someone living in the walls. And like with most Tobe Hooper films, it basically ends up being like Texas Chainsaw, where the first 2/3 is pretty normal murder mystery or something. But then by the last act, it just goes, hey, look, there's walls full of corpses. There's all this disgusting imagery and all this crazy shit. Again, you think of Texas Chainsaw with the household. That's just what it is. It is same with Salem's Lot, same with Poltergeist. Poltergeist is less so, because it's mostly just the corpses coming from underground, but it's that kind of aesthetic of everything's normal until it's not. It goes a hard twist in the opposite direction, and suddenly, bam, it's fucking corpses coming out of the goddamn walls. So that's made it more interesting to me, but it was still a pretty interesting film until that point. So, good cast, recognizable for the most part. I didn't realize that Sherry Moon, before she was Sherry Moon Zombie, is the first victim in the film. And that was as a favor to Rob Zombie, because he loved Tobe Hooper's films. And he's like, hey, can you get my girlfriend to be in your film? And he's like, yeah, sure, but we're going to kill her off immediately. And he's like, I don't care, do it. And it's brutal. So that's pretty cool. I then watched Lynch Oz from 2022, the Alexandre Philippe film. Alexandre O'Philippe, actually. I can see why people call it a glorified video essay, because it literally is. I was thinking, I don't know, I've seen Chain Reactions and Memory, and both of them were pretty good documentaries. I don't understand what exactly it would make if people would think that those films are video essays. But the things with those two films is it's people sitting in front of a camera talking to you with then footage laid over the top, but there's a lot of emphasis on the person talking to you, a face to recognize with and to understand and empathize with. But in this one, it's literally just 6 different chapters, and each one is a different person narrating a video essay with footage from David Lynch films or Wizard of Oz, because that's the contrast, or other films, or just clips from other things. John Waters has a whole segment, which is really good, because it also reflects his own life and career in contrast to Lynch, but also their love of Wizard of Oz and their own usage of, Oz-like stuff in their own films. there's all of these people are like filmmakers or critics, and the first one I think is a great video essay. The second one I don't think is a good video essay because it goes in too many different directions, whereas the first one's a great, hey, we're going to use the theme of wind, the motif of wind, and that's what we're going to compare with Lynch's work and that. And I'm like, wow, there's so much stuff I never picked up on. That's a good video essay. You know, the John Waters one is good. The one with, is it Nora? Is that her name? She was in a couple of his films. No, sorry. Karen Kusama, she's the director of Jennifer's Body. She's also been in 7852 and Chain Reactions, two other films by the same director. Her section was really good as well. Amy Nicholson, who did the first one, was great. Rodney Asher, I didn't care for his. John Waters was great. The Benton and Moorhead one was interesting, and the David Lowery one was pretty good as well. If it didn't have... It could have either gotten rid of the David Lowery one or the Rodney Asher one, and then it probably would have been a much better film, because it just feels like a bit too long by the time you get to the end of it, because it is 6 video essays in a binge, basically. Yeah, it's something alright, but my review on Letterboxd briefly details what I liked about each one. And then I watched on the 12th The Killer from 1999, also on Criterion Channel. That with Lynch Oz and the Toolbox Murders, all on Criterion Channel. This is a film from 1989, of course, the John Woo classic. A fucking masterpiece. I gave it 5 stars. I'm like, this is action beautiful. This is drama beautiful. Friendship beautiful. It's just, the romance is great. The characters are great. It looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful. I cannot wait to see this on 4K, because even though these, I'm pretty sure, were the 4K restorations presented on the Criterion Channel courtesy of Shout Factory, or Shout Studios, because it has their logo at the start of Shout Studios, like how Criterion would have that in Janus Films or whatever. But it looked fantastic, and I would love to see it on a UHD, like with a solid uncompressed bitrate. It would be fucking mind-blowing, especially with like a hopefully better than a stereo, like, because Criterion Channel only has stereo audio. They very rarely go outside of stereo or mono, mostly because of Vimeo's capacities. But if that has a either 5.1 or a Dolby Atmos mix, it would fucking blow, because the audio would shoot everywhere. I was okay with it because I like action films that are just front heavy with their shooting, because the back stuff, if my parents are next door, they'll be able to hear all the gun bullets flying around the room. And even though it's nice and immersive for me, I have to consider the fact that they're probably going to be annoyed while they're trying to watch their show. All they keep looking at is the door, because it sounds like someone's getting shot to death in the room next to them. And I mean, I don't live in America. That's not an everyday thing. But it's just not a thing you'd like to hear. So, but I appreciate a good audio design when you hear it, nevertheless. But yeah, so what else did we watch in this month? I will not be filming this again until the end of the month, so I don't know what I'll watch in Japan, but who knows? Maybe not much. But then we'll have a wrap-up for what we watched in the end of October. So, see you kids then. Alright, we're back. So, to my recollection, the last time I filmed this was on the 13th of October. So what did I watch on the 13th? Because I would have watched those after the filming. We watched A Bay of Blood, part of the Hooptober. Pretty sure it was part of the Hooptober. Yeah, it was. Just a film on my list of horror films that I had not seen yet. And of course, it's Mario Bava. It's like a much more influential slasher film than I kind of thought, but it was also very different to what I expected. But still interesting, a bit dull at times, but it kind of nails its ending, so I was actually really content with the whole thing at the end. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's definitely one that I will warm more towards, because it's not so stereotypical, but it's also not completely different in a different direction, if that makes sense. Anyway, I followed it up with Yokai Monsters 100 Monsters from 1968. This one is part of the Arrow Video box set of the Yokai Monsters. Sorry, my face is a bit itchy. I really like that I watched this, because this is my last Hooptober. Actually, it was my second last Hooptober, but still, my last Hooptober was the next day. The benefit of having watched this, and its, which I gave 3.5 stars, and its sequel the next day, Yokai Monsters Spook Warfare from that, both in 1968, which I gave 4 stars. There was, finished off my Hooptober list, was the fact that when I went to Japan a couple of days later, there's this in Kyoto, there's a Toei Kyoto theme park, where they have a giant Evangelion, whatever, but they had a yokai monsters parade. So they had people dressing up as the yokai monsters. They had the umbrella girl. She was there, but like she was just hanging there. There was no person actually beating her. She was just there. I don't think we noticed her when we first walked in, but there was a bunch of people in costumes. It was like, oh, this is cool. I heard someone say yokai. I'm like, oh, is this yokai monsters? And yeah, after that it was really fun. So I really like the films. The first one's much slower, but it's more of a character drama before having the monsters kind of appear, but they're not really essential. Spook Warfare, on the other hand, is just like, fuck yeah, let's just put in a bunch of monsters, have a lot of fun with it, great practical effects, great visual effects, really fun overall. But the mythos and everything is built up quite nicely throughout the previous film, through 100 Monsters. Also on the 14th, because Diane Keaton had passed away, I watched Annie Hall. I was going to watch the last Yokai Monsters film, but then I realized, oh, I actually don't need to watch any more horror films because Hooptober is done. So I watched Annie Hall. I gave it 4 stars. I don't love this film. It's really hard to watch it sometimes. I remember loving it in my teens, pre-knowledge of Woody Allen being a fucking weirdo, but also just with that aspect of, man, I really related to his character when I was younger. I was just as cynical, just as much of a cunt, basically. And watching this film, like, he really is an absolute dick. Diane Keaton is the reason to watch this movie. Like, to be fair, though, it is kind of a smartly written satire of, like, New Yorker lifestyle and culture, especially in the 70s. And so I give it props to that. Like, that's kind of why his character is so weird and annoying. He puts on a Jewish stereotype, which is interesting enough as it is, especially because obviously the actor is Jewish, but the fact that like he's like, oh, whenever he wants to take offense to something, he's like claims it as being anti-Semitic, which I think is really just kind of funny in general. Like, that's meant to be a joke, obviously, but also it's kind of very culturally appropriate no matter what. Just anything you can take to just make it about yourself in a way, without, even though it's completely not, it's completely the opposite, which is really funny. So it has its moments, but Diane Keaton is tremendous in it. On the 16th, we flew out, so I watched some films on my phone that I downloaded from YouTube, God forbid. I started with Armed and Dangerous from 1986. This is a comedy, apparently, by Mark L. Lester, starring John Candy, and apparently Meg Ryan's in it for like 10 minutes. Eugene Levy's the other main character in it. It's a blue-collar comedy about a lawyer and an ex-cop turned security guards who take on their union after the building they work at is robbed and they get the blame. It's the most 90 minutes of kind of funny but just kind of air background noise you can get. And I watched it on a plane. So I was paying attention, and I was bored. I didn't find it funny. There was a couple of jokes that were amusing. Obviously, John Candy's still amusing as a character actor, so was Eugene Levy. But the writing's not there, the editing's not there, the directing's not there. It's just... And it's got a lot of writers behind it. Harold Ramis also co-wrote it. It's just not great. I gave it 2 stars. I'm like, this is just bland and uninteresting. Which didn't help because the next film I watched was Saturday the 14th, which I also downloaded from YouTube, which I'm pretty sure was a chopped up version of the film, because despite the fact that it got pretty gory and gnarly and whatever, the version I watched, I'm pretty sure, was like shorter than the actual runtime that is at least on Letterboxd. I don't know. Actually, I don't think so. Letterboxd has a 76 minutes. I think that's how long it was for me. Maybe a minute or 2 shorter, but still. I gave it 2.5 stars. It being it's Saturday the 14th, it's going to send up 80s slasher films, because this is actually 1981. And obviously Friday the 13th had existed by this stage, so they're getting in the hype of, we're going to satirize, do a horror comedy based on slasher films. But they don't. It has no reference to slasher films whatsoever. They're actually kind of doing a satire of the Universal monsters. Like, there's a Dracula, there's a, I guess, Bride of Dracula, she's just another Dracula. There's a bunch of monsters that got unleashed from a book. They are all reminiscent of other monsters, from the Wolfman to the creature from the Black Lagoon, and then some other random shit, because why not? It goes for satirical approach in the first half, where it's trying to be like, they're in a haunted house and whatever, and it's got the house is alive and doing all this shit, and they're just like not paying attention to it because they just are very oblivious. Like they've been given this house from their, dead uncle or some shit, and it's like, oh, you have to stay in the house for a certain amount of time before you can keep it as your own, and you can't sell it for like a year or some shit. And the kid finds a book that he reads and it unleashes evil and whatever. And then the second half is kind of just dealing with that, but not really. There's not really a plot until like the last 10 minutes where they have a party on Saturday the 14th where they are like, oh, if you don't like defeat the monsters by the end of the night and put them back in the book, the apocalypse will happen. And there's just no real stakes to it. There isn't. A pizza delivery guy gets trapped at their house, and that's like, he has more stakes than any of the other characters, because he needs to go back to work. He's also a creep, so, not great. I gave it 2.5 stars. I wouldn't really recommend it, but it's like, for 76 minutes, but it's just a waste of potential. On the 22nd, we caught a Shinkansen from from Tokyo to Osaka, so I watched Death Ship on a train. Again, this one was definitely cut down in runtime. I think it says it definitely passed the time, even if the version I watched was 83 minutes instead of 91. So I was missing at least 8 minutes of footage from the film. I've looked it up. There doesn't seem to be any other version that exists, but it might just be a TV cut that just removes some of the gore. But I read Wikipedia, like the plot summary and everything that was in the plot was there in the version I watched. Maybe there was just more gore or something. I don't even know. It's not a very gory film. It's a ship that attacks a big cruiser, and the people who survive the cruiser end up being on that ship, and it just happens to be a haunted ship possessed by the ghosts of dead Nazis. George Kennedy's in it. He's not bad. It's mostly like those B-list character actor types that are the cast. It's not very interesting. It's okay. I gave it, 2.5 stars as well. No wonder why this shit's on YouTube, because it's just not great. I could have watched the Western instead, but this actually chewed up all the time I needed to, because by the time it ended, I got off the train 10 minutes later. But yeah, great poster, not a great movie. On the 24th, my birthday, I did want to go out with Helene to watch a film. We did plan to, at least on 2 occasions, go out to watch a film. And we wanted to, holy shit, we were planning to watch a film on the 24th, being Nobody 2. But we didn't get around to that because my brother wanted to give me a call. He was in Europe and he calls me on my birthday, whatever, if we're not around. He did, for like the past 3 years, he's been doing that. Because we've all been in different places on my birthday each year. And so that was like an hour spent, and by the time that hour was up, it was like 8 o'clock, and the film was at 9, and we wouldn't make it in time, and also we're in Japan. It would have taken forever to get there. Because it was just coming out that day in Japan, so it was like, oh, that could be fun, because I liked the first film, and I hadn't seen the second one, and I still haven't seen the second one. It's going to be one that I either watch on streaming, or I eventually buy a Blu-ray on sale, because I don't really care to watch the second film, but I'm also like, I could, sure, but we didn't, and I was also okay with it because the same day I got to watch Godzilla Interception Operation Awaji. It's not much of a poster, if anything. I'll try to show images from the actual place. It's the place that has the giant Godzilla that you can zipline into. Basically, you go there, which took us 2 hours to get there because the public transport was fucked that day. But you eventually get there. Took 2 trains and a bus to get there, and when you get in, we'd already booked ahead, whatever, so they gave us our tickets, whatever. You go into a room, whether with people or without, depending on how much of a crowd there is that day. There wasn't that many people that day, which was good for us. And they show you a 7-minute long, is it 7 minutes or 9 minutes? It's a 7-minute long short film that came out in 2020, directed by Kazuhiro Nakagawa, there you go. He's also directed like a bunch of other short films, including Godzilla vs. Hedorah 2021, Godzilla Fest 4, Operation Jet Jaguar, Fesu Gojira 3, Gaigen Raishu, Godzilla appears at Godzilla Fest 5, or Monster Showdown. So basically he's been doing a bunch of like, as well as Ultraman ones, a bunch of live action shorts, all for Godzilla and Ultraman. And so I really enjoyed the short film because it basically is like a recontextualized version of Shin Godzilla. Like I think it uses some footage, but for the most part, it's all completely original. Where they're like, "Hey, this is what," like it's the kind of setup to like a roller coaster park kind of thing, where they give you a setup of, "Hey, we discovered Godzilla. We've seen all these old paintings," and they give you all this context of Godzilla. This version from Shin Godzilla has been around for a long time. We know that it lives somewhere near Awaji Island, and we're going to make a whole section where we can just, like, when it comes out of the water, eventually, we can just put some bombs in its mouth, make it go to sleep, and it can land on the island, and we can study it and keep it in hibernation. Basically being that's what they do. It comes out of the water, they shoot it a couple times, they drop bombs in its mouth, it falls asleep and lands on Awaji Island. All per the plan. Literally, it's like, oh, you really can defeat Godzilla in like 5 minutes or less. And so they end up doing that. And I'm mostly describing this because no one I know has seen it, because you can only see it at this facility. And you can log it on Letterboxd. Fantastic. So it counts as watching a film for my birthday, which was just excellent. And it basically sets up a plot so that you, as the person being there, can then go outside and either fly into the zipline into the mouth of Godzilla or along the side of Godzilla. Everyone chooses the mouth every time, obviously. And I have GoPro footage of me zooming in, going into its mouth. And then when you go downstairs, you have to shoot at these like barnacle things. And it's basically like, it becomes an interactive game. There's scanning things you can do on your phone through an app and all kinds of shit to get data. And then it just helps to keep Godzilla at rest, whatever. Yeah, it's just an interactive activity. It's a film that sets up an interactive activity. But the film has context, it has a narrative, it has a setup, and it has a payoff. And the main payoff is you going outside and interacting with the whole thing, which is probably why I don't know if you can find this video online. But yeah, it was really fun. It was great. I enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars because I'm like, fuck it. Who's gonna compare it? Like, even on Letterboxd, not many people have seen it. It's gotten, I don't even know how many, 2, 9. So less than 100 people have watched it on Letterboxd. It has 101 members have seen it, 31 reviews on Letterboxd, including myself. And yeah, it's probably not really a 5-star film or anything. It's just, fuck it, it's Godzilla in 7 minutes or less. And yeah, so I would highly recommend going to Awaji Island just for it. Because again, you get to watch the film, then you get to go down the zip line, you get to play a little game, you get to go in the museum and look at all the props and stuff, and it looks great. They've got all these recreations of the monsters, including a couple Godzillas. They've got Destroyer, they've got Mothra. Beautiful stuff. You get some photos done, you get a little shop. There's also Monster Hunter stuff and some other anime-related stuff there on the island, and you can also go to the Godzilla, the Hello Kitty place. There are 2 Hello Kitty places also on the island, about a 10 to 15 minute drive away. And there's a bus that takes you around the whole island. So, yeah, it was great. I had fun. On the 26th, I watched, because the 26th to the 28th, on the 26th and 27th, we flew out. So on the 26th, I watched ZVP, which is, well, I don't want to spoil what it's about, so I'll say it's Zatoichi, the blind swordsman, versus someone else, and it's like a 7-minute long trailer, but it's a 8-minute long fake trailer that came out in 2017. It's on YouTube. Highly recommend it. It's really fun. Yeah, go check that out. I just gave it a like because it's just a fun short film. But it's more of it's a mock-up trailer. It's not really even a short film. It's a mock trailer. But on the 27th, I watched Animal Crackers. I gave it 2.5 stars. I don't really like a lot of early Marx Brothers stuff. I thought that this was kind of painfully unfunny, until it occasionally was funny, very few times. The funniest guy in the film, who is the blonde one, the curly hair, Harpo, was also like the most annoying one. But when he's not annoying, he's actually funny, so it was weird. It was a weird combination. I think because he had a lot of great practical humor, but then he also had the rapiest vibe. So I'm like, hey, I don't know. It's from 1930. It has the 4th Marx brother, who I've never seen in a film before, which is probably good, because he's not great either. Obviously, their better works were later on, Night at the Opera, Day of the Races, that kind of stuff. All the stuff that Queen stole their names from. I watched this one on YouTube as well. It is badly edited. It's really poorly directed. It's not great. I also watched it in 3 segments. I basically started it on the flight to Japan, watched a bit of it on the train, on the Shinkansen, and then watched the rest of it on the plane. And for a 90-minute film, the fact that it took me 3 watches to get through the whole thing, kind of rough. But it was just because I was like, we're about to land, let me just watch this 30 minutes of this film, then I can log it on Letterboxd, and then I can get off and be in Cairns, apparently, before I fly back to Melbourne. And of course, later that day when I was home and settled, I was like, I gotta watch a film, I'm tired, I want to watch something I'm familiar with, and Mr. Sunday Movies had done their review on Predator just the other day, and I had watched that, and I was like, I'm in the mood for an Alan Silvestri score, let's watch Predator. So I watched Predator, gave it 5 stars, obviously, it's a classic, I love it. I fell asleep for about 20 minutes during it, and missed the whole part where he says, if it bleeds, we can kill it. I rewound, just to watch that scene, because I love that fucking line. Banger film. That's why I was comfortable with watching it, because I didn't want to watch something brand new, I wanted to watch something that I could fall asleep to if I needed to. And it's great. I know, the big, loud action film, and I fell asleep. Which, to be fair, I didn't sleep much on the planes, because the plane's not fun to sleep on. On the 28th, I watched There's Always Vanilla from 1971. This is George Romero's follow-up feature, his second feature, which, not great. I watched the Arrow Blu-ray after having watched Martin earlier in the month, and talking to Paul Anthony Nelson about it. Even he said that There's Always Vanilla is one that you can skip, and I'm like, well, I have the Blu-ray, and I wanted to watch a 90-minute film, so I put it on. I knew it wasn't a horror film, it was a romantic comedy, but it was neither romantic nor a comedy, because the main character's an asshole the whole time. The good thing about the Blu-ray is it comes with a interview of Romero where he talks about that in Season of the Witch, but I haven't seen Season of the Witch yet, so I didn't watch the rest of the interview, but I watched like the first 5 minutes where he talks about this film and how he was like, yeah, my friend wrote it, I just directed and edited it. I tried my best to save it in the edit because it was just kind of rough. The whole time, none of us really had a lot of fun. I just don't like the film. And he was like, I don't want to seem like I'm grumpy right now. I just don't like the film. And to be fair, I'm with George. I don't like the film either. No one I know likes the film. Hence, I gave it 2 stars. I would not recommend it. What else did we watch this month? In the attempt to ignore my atrocious sudden burst of hay fever, we finished the last 2 days, 30th and 31st of Halloween of October, with Begonia from 2025, the Emma Stone brand new Yorgos Lanthimos film. I gave it 4.5 stars. Really liked it. Beautiful, dry, fucked up humor. Really goes perfectly out there exactly when it needs to. You get so many back and forths as it is a kidnapping a woman film. And the guys who have kidnapped this woman believe her to be an alien. One of them does, the other one is skeptical. And you're like in the position of, oh, do we believe him that she's an alien, or do we believe her that she's not an alien and sympathize with her? But do we want to sympathize with her when she's a CEO who just doesn't care about people and just is putting on as a face? It's a really good satire on corporate kind of analysis, and just that kind of modern understandings of how we don't like CEOs because they suck. They only care about profit margins and not the people. And it just goes in every single direction it can go in before going into that final direction, and it's really fun. Highly recommend it. But I watched it with my mate Guy in Europa Cinema at the Village Cinemas, and it was absolutely hilarious. And of course, the Halloween viewings. Originally, was going to watch Rocky Horror. Was going to show my partner because I thought that she hadn't seen the film before. I was wrong. I loaded up the disc, and she's like, "Yeah, no, we've seen this before." And I was like, "No, because my Letterboxd, my 2 reviews I have for it, don't have films I've introduced to my girlfriend or introduced my girlfriend to." Turns out I didn't have that playlist as a thing that you could link to initially for the first 2 or 3 years I used Letterboxd. So but it was on my list. It was like number 7 or 8, so I had definitely shown it to her in 2020. So we decided not to watch that because I've got the UHD coming in on Monday, so I'll watch it then. So instead, we watched Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which I was intending to show her. Finally watched the UHD from Scream Factory. I say finally because I've had it for a couple of years. I got it like a couple of days after Halloween, which annoyed me because I wanted to watch it then, but it came in from Amazon late. And so I watched it on streaming with a friend instead. Then that might have been 2023. I should double check because I've watched it quite a few times. I've watched it in 2020, 2021. 2021, yeah, that was on Stan for Halloween 31st. I watched it last year on the 20... Oh, wow, so I've had it since 2021, and I haven't watched the 4K. That's crazy. Like, I had the Blu-ray back in 2020, and I'd already seen it before that. So this might have been the 5th time that I've seen it, maybe the 6th time. Either way, I watched it in May of 2024 because my friend Lee Gambon passed away. He did a commentary track, and that was on the imprint version, so I had to watch that, not the Scream Factory, which again was like, damn it, I really want to watch that Scream Factory. But I finally watched the Scream Factory, and I think Lee would have been proud because it looks incredible. I don't know what the new 4K from Viavision imprint is going to look like, but of course that's been delayed till December, and I'm not spending $500 on a bunch of steelbooks, so I'm good. But I loved it. I used the Dolby Atmos mix as well, because I've heard the original mono before, but I've never heard the Dolby Atmos, and holy fuck, it sounded good. The score in particular, incredible. Visually amazing. Helene had never seen it. She liked it a lot. I love this movie. I give it 5 stars. I think it's the best Halloween film next to the original, because the original's still a John Carpenter. And this one's just so fucking good. It's so funny. Even the part where Tom Atkins and the younger girl they just decide to start fucking. Even Helene's like, why are they doing that? And I'm like, why wouldn't they? It's Tom Atkins. Like, come on. So I love too when they're about to have sex for like the 3rd time. He's like, how old are you? And she's like, does it matter? And he's like, yeah, I guess not. So anyway, because we weren't doing Rocky Horror, our final film for the month was Helene's option, which she wanted to watch Heathers. So we watched Heathers. I thought I'd watched Heathers this year. Turns out I watched it last year, even though I hadn't seen it for several years. It's so bewildering when I go to log a film on Letterboxd and I realize I either haven't watched it or I haven't watched it for a long time. And last year when I watched Heathers, I hadn't watched it since like maybe 2016 or something, so I hadn't logged it at all, and I was like, what the shit? And I had this Arrow Blu-ray with a 4K scan, and it looks incredible, and it was great. I was quite tired, but I was still happy to watch it with her. I still gave it 5 stars. It is still a spectacular film, and she really liked it as well, but we were quite tired by the end of it. But I'm happy we watched it. I think she really enjoyed it. She wants to watch the musical as well, so I'm keen for that one day. But yeah, that is October. Thanks for watching. I hope you kids had a fun Halloween, or just a good spooky season in general, and didn't get too bothered by the trick-or-treaters. They all stopped by about 7:30 on mine, for me, which is good. I live down the end of a street, so all the busy road is all the way up there, so if they don't come down this way, they don't get lollies, which means we get plenty of lollies left over. And yeah, worked out pretty well. So that's all. Thanks for watching. See you kids next time. Check out my Japan videos, which should be coming out over the course of this week and a half. And I'll see you next time. Adios. Oh, and don't forget, there's more Cinemaniacs this month. We got the Massacre at Central High double feature with the House on Sorority Row. Come to the Cinemaniacs. It's fun. Bye.